What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Willis, and you're listening to a special edition of the HoopSmack Podcast. We decided to forego our usual season preview format of written articles and will now have each member of the HoopSmack squad participate in previewing each of the 30 NBA teams for the upcoming 2013-2014 season. We'll talk about last season's performance, what each team did in the offseason, strengths and weaknesses, what we expect each team to do, and whatever else we feel like talking about. Now that the intro stuff is out of the way, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls.
Everybody, is anticipating this Derrick Rose return. Ben, you actually saw the preseason game against the Pacers. What did you think of Derrick Rose's return to the court?
I thought he looked great. To me, what makes him special is his athleticism and explosiveness. And, if he loses that, to me, he just becomes just another player. Speed, everything. I saw all that last night. There were a couple moves where he attacked the basket. Just was vintage D Rose, man. And it was real good to see because, you always want to hope they can come back as, if not as good, better than they were. And he looked good. He looked really good. There was some rust, obviously, because he hadn't played in a legit game since 2011 or whatever, or early 2012. But he looked good, man. They're even saying he looks faster than he did previously. I'm not sure about all that. And they say he actually has a higher vertical now than he did before. But the key thing is that he's confident. He feels like he's 100%, and he's not holding back. He's not, hesitant as far as like cutting or anything. And I was watching him move without the ball too. He looked pretty good. As far as the team, I think they'll be all right. They did really well last year in his absence, but it all comes down to they're just not better than the top two teams, Indiana and Miami. And I know we're going to get to that, but I really like Chicago. They're tough. To me, the Jimmy Butler thing was just a huge, bonus. Like when they drafted him, I heard of him from Marquette, but there's no way I'd have thought that Jimmy Butler would be on the level he's at now. But I think they're really, really good. I just think talent-wise, they're still not better than Miami and Indiana. So that's what I'm thinking with those guys.
So Ben brought it up. Miles, I was going to go to you. As far as this, I guess, new rivalry, Chicago and Indiana, do you agree with Ben? I mean, do you think Indiana is going to remain on top of Central, or do you think now with the addition of Derrick Rose, the Bulls are going to, reclaim their spot?
I think the Bulls are going to reclaim their spot. I think the addition of Derrick Rose and also Mike Dunleavy is going to put them in a position where they can go back to where they were. Indiana is a great team, but their system is somewhat derivative of Thibodeau's system. And I think Thibodeau is a better coach than Frank Vogel, honestly. And now that he has his horse in Derrick Rose to kind of carry the offense a little bit, I think, comparing their point guard to Indiana's point guard is ridiculous. As long as Derrick Rose is healthy, this team is going to be the team that wins the Central Division and is probably pushing Miami for the best record in the East.
Fong, the Bulls supporting cast, like Ben mentioned, they did a lot better than most people thought. And they, even though they lost in, I think it was 5 games, they still seem to push the Heat more than people were anticipating. Now with D Rose, do you think what the supporting cast learned is pretty much how to get them over the top as far as challenging Miami in the Eastern Conference?
I think so. Again, I like Thibodeau. I think he's a phenomenal coach. And, Derrick Rose was like a one-man wrecking crew against the Heat when he was healthy. And I still like that matchup. They could blanket guys around LeBron. I think Dwayne Wade's washed up. Bosh is a 7-foot jump shooter. Who knows how much Ray Allen still has left in the tank. I think now is the time to strike for the Bulls, and I think they can smell the blood.
I guess playing devil's advocate, even though, the games, they were tough, close, I still didn't think the Heat were really pushed like they were against Indiana and San Antonio this past year. What's going to change with the Bulls, given that they didn't really have too much personnel changes? What are they going to bring to the table that's going to be different against the Heat?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. Like, this is my thing with Chicago. It's even when they were full strength a couple years ago, they fell short. And I know Jimmy Butler. They have, to me, Dunleavy is a better Bellinelli, but who just replaced Korver the previous year. So they have these little slots they just keep filling in every year. But the core group, the Derrick Roses, the Luol Deng, Joakim Noah. Noah usually breaks down by playoff time anyway, right? He's always dealing with some type of foot issue. And I don't always think they're as fresh as they need to be when it really matters versus these other teams. I think they're as hard-nosed as they come. They're tough, but I just can't see them. I can't see them overtaking either Indiana or.
Hold on, let me interrupt really quick. The Raiders got a black punter? Since when?
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy.
Way to stay on topic there.
I was shocked. Black punter.
Yeah.
We're taking over every position.
I think the Bulls last year felt like a team missing their star, and as long as Derrick Rose can stay healthy, the issue with the Heat is they do have quality defense all around outside of the fact that Mario Chalmers is not the best defensive point guard. And they've been vulnerable to quality point guards the last 3 years, really. I mean, Rondo went crazy on them in the playoffs. Derrick Rose went crazy on them in the playoffs. Tony Parker had a pretty solid finals against them last year. And, the rest of the team last year, it felt like they were overachieving a little bit, but at the same time, they were just missing that extra spark, and Derrick Rose is that spark. So I think that they didn't make a bunch of changes, but they made incremental changes in the rest of the guys. But what it comes down to is, how does Derrick Rose perform when LeBron James is guarding him in the fourth quarter in the playoffs of what I actually think will either be the Eastern Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Semifinals, depending on the seeds. I think this team really has a chance to win it all, provided that Thibodeau can really shut down LeBron in the playoffs, and who knows if that can happen with anyone.
And I also think part of the Bulls' problem is they're kind of limited when it comes to scoring. I think D Rose has to have monster games for them to kind of overachieve, and which he's fully capable of. But I think they go in these spurts where they just have a really hard time scoring. They don't have a lot of deadly shooters outside of Dunleavy. Sometimes, Nate last year, but there isn't anyone on that roster who's as consistent. Heinrich was a better shooter before than he currently is. He's kind of put more of an emphasis on just being a perimeter defender, which is excellent for that team. But I think they have these stretches where they just can't score, and that's another issue I think with Chicago.
So, what's your prediction for the Bulls? How are they going to do this year?
Defensively, I think them and Indiana, to me, they're the top two defensive teams. So I think that they can win 56 games. They'll probably go 56 and 26, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Miles, what do you think?
The last year that Derrick Rose was healthy, they won 75% of their games. And the last time he was healthy, they played an 82-game season. They won 62 games. I think that this team can win 55 games, and I think they'll win the Central Division. And be, a 2 or 3 seed in the East.
What do you think?
Definitely win at least 54 games, and they're going to be the 2 seed, and they're going to contend for the Eastern Conference Finals. Or they will play in the Conference Finals, I'll say that. I'm all in. I'm all in on the
Well done, sir. Well done. I also said 54 wins. I don't think they'll beat Miami. And I actually don't think it will even be a close series. I just don't see what's going to change with this Bulls roster that we haven't already seen.
Willis, you think they'll beat Indiana?
Chicago? I think that series will be a lot closer. They're similar teams. I just think Derrick Rose will elevate his play and will lead them to beat Indiana.
So going back to the Piston Bulls days, did Jordan's teams did their rosters even really change that much until they finally dethroned the Pistons?
Not really.
No, they didn't change.
Yep.
So why can't it happen now?
I think Jordan just actually passed at some point. So.
Why can't that happen with the Rose and the Bulls team? I mean, they're well coached. They believe in their system. Their players play hard.
Well, for me, I don't believe in that supporting cast. Like Ben mentioned, Noah is usually fragile come playoff time. They don't have the same supporting cast even. They don't have the Omar Asik. They don't have that second unit that was a lot stronger, I think, a couple of years ago. So I have that going against them. LeBron is that much better than he was even in that series. Wade is not as good, but I don't think he's declined as much as people say. And I think Miami's supporting cast is even better than it was 2 years ago. So I just don't see what advantages Chicago has anymore, other than Thibodeau.
I do love Greg Oden. I want Greg Oden to be healthy.
And if Oden gives them anything, like I was telling Ben the other day,
true.
Like anything at all.
Chicago, I just don't see them posing a legitimate threat.
What if they trade Boozer?
They need to trade Boozer. And it depends what they get back.
And yeah, it depends on what they get back, yeah. I agree, Boozer needs to be moved. It just depends on what they get back. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it for the Bulls, unless you guys had another thing or tidbit you want to say about him.
Dunleavy's not really that good of a shooter. He's just white.
That's immediately points for being a shooter, though.
Also,
I know, but statistically he's not even that good of a shooter.
What about this? What about the Luol Deng factor, the contract issue? You feel like they can ship him before the year ends to get something out of it, since they couldn't negotiate a new contract? Do you think he's bought in? Like he's?
I think he's bought in. I guess I don't see the benefit of shipping him. Like, what are you going to get?
Yeah, you're not going to get equal value or anything even close to that, and you're not going to trade him for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
I think they sabotaged themselves already with the moves that they made.
Yeah.
And they just made themselves worse for challenging the throne right now. And unfortunately, that's Miami.
Okay, but you guys believe he's all in. He's not dealing with any type of like he's not. You know what I mean? He's not.
So I think he's bitter and he's sabotage.
Never done it before.
Okay. I hear you.
He'll play just fine, and if they ship him, it's because they package him together with Carlos Boozer for someone really big. I mean, he's an all-star last year.
Right.
Luol Deng is a quality small forward in the league, and
given that scenario, that's a compelling what if. Given that scenario, who should Chicago try to bring in order to contend if they do package Deng and Boozer?
I'm not going to say who, but I'll tell you they need to get a better low post scorer, a more consistent one, a better rebounder. And they also probably need to get a solid backup center for what do you call it? For Noah. I think Jimmy Butler can step up and be a starting three. Not saying he'll be as good as Deng, but
So they should trade for a Zeke.
I know, right? Just bring him right back. But they need a better. I can't think of a specific player, but there's certain positions they can improve on. And the bench is pretty thin, like you said, man. Not as good as it was before.
They should try to trade for Power and Marc Gasol, and they're not going to get it.
Marc Gasol would be an excellent, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Yep. That's an excellent pickup.
We still have a lot of previews to get you guys. Just stick with us. You're gonna love, everything that we bring to the table. With that said, you can download all of our stuff on our site at HoopSmack.com. You can go to iTunes, Slap-Radio. If the Zoom Marketplace is still a thing, you can download there. You can email us at 206.hoopsmack@gmail.com. You can call us at 509-795-1858 and leave us a voicemail. You can hit us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for HoopSmack. We're also on Google+. You can search for HoopSmack there as well. There are many avenues to get in touch with us, so, don't be shy. Definitely hit us up. But I'm C. Will. Peace.
Chill.